We've all heard stories about skinwalkers, creatures that are said to mimic humans, copy voices, and lure people into the woods. Whether you believe those stories or not, one thing is certain: you never follow strange sounds in a silent forest. A few days ago, I came across this footage.
Magala na matala ho. Hoy. Chip hàiแล้วผมโดนหลอกเนี่ยมึงใครเนี่ยเฮ้ย
Imagine you're completely alone, 30 feet above the ground, in an abandoned treehouse, surrounded by nothing but miles of dense forest. No phone signal, no nearby town, no one coming to help. Then, in the middle of the night, you hear a woman crying. At first, you'd probably think someone is lost. Maybe they need help. But what if they don't? There's almost no information about it. No confirmed location. No explanation. Just a man camping overnight in a treehouse. And this, the moment I saw this, I couldn't stop thinking about one question. Why is she standing there, in the middle of nowhere, at that hour? And according to the person who supposedly recovered this camera, what happened after this moment is far more terrifying than the footage itself. So turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and let me tell you the full story. It was supposed to be just another camping trip. The man behind the camera had spent years exploring remote forests, always searching for places that most people would never dare to visit. He believed true adventure only existed where there were no roads, no tourists, and no signs of civilization. After hiking for nearly 2 days, he stumbled across something unexpected: an old wooden treehouse. It stood high above the forest floor, built around an enormous oak tree. The wood looked weathered, but surprisingly strong. It was the perfect place to spend the night. As he climbed inside, he noticed signs that someone had once lived there. An old lantern, a rusty cooking pot, a torn sleeping bag. But whoever had built it had been gone for years. Or at least, that's what he thought. As the sun disappeared behind the trees, the forest slowly became quieter. The birds stopped singing. The insects went silent. Even the wind seemed to vanish. It wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence that makes you feel like something is listening. He laughed it off and started recording, joking that horror movies had made him paranoid. Then, around 1:40 in the morning, he heard it. A woman, crying. Not screaming, not yelling for help, just quietly, endlessly, crying somewhere below the treehouse. At first, he ignored it. Maybe it was an animal. Maybe the sound was echoing through the trees. But it didn't stop. Minute after minute, the crying continued. Finally, he grabbed his flashlight, walked to the edge of the treehouse, and pointed the light toward the sound. This is the exact moment captured in the footage. For nearly 30 seconds, she didn't move. She just stood there beneath the treehouse, her face hidden behind long black hair. The crying never stopped. It wasn't loud. It wasn't desperate. It was almost rhythmic, like she wanted him to keep listening. He whispered to himself, "What is she doing out here?" He flashed the light away for a second, then looked back. She was gone. His heart nearly stopped. He swept the flashlight across the trees. Nothing. The forest was empty again. Then, he heard a slow creak. Not from below, from behind him, inside the treehouse. He spun around. Nothing. Just the old wooden walls. But one thing had changed. The crying was no longer coming from the forest. It was coming from directly beneath the floor, as if someone was standing under the treehouse, looking up at him. He carefully knelt and aimed the flashlight through a gap in the wooden planks. At first, he couldn't see anything. Then, two pale eyes slowly opened in the darkness, not reflecting the light, just staring back. He stumbled away, dropping the flashlight. When he picked it up again and looked through the gap, the eyes were gone. The crying stopped. Complete silence. A full minute passed. Then a voice drifted through the trees. "Help!" It sounded like a woman. A few seconds later, the same voice called again. Only this time, it sounded exactly like his mother. He froze. There was no way. His mother lived hundreds of miles away. Again, "Please, help me." The voice was perfect. Every word, every pause, every little detail. He covered his ears. "This isn't real." The voice laughed. Not loudly, just one short laugh. Then it started crying again. Only now, it sounded like a child. The temperature suddenly dropped. His breath became visible. He checked his watch. 3:07 a.m., the so-called devil's hour. That's when he noticed something moving between the trees. A tall figure, much taller than any human. It stepped behind one tree, then another, never fully revealing itself. Its movements were unnatural, almost like it was learning how to walk. Then it disappeared. The crying stopped again. He thought it was finally over, until something tapped the wooden wall beside him. 3 slow knocks. Knock, knock, knock. He held his breath. Another 3 knocks. This time, from the roof. Something was climbing above him. The old wood groaned under the weight. Whatever it was far too heavy to be human. He didn't dare look up. Then came a sound that made his blood run cold. A voice. His own voice. Perfectly copied. "Don't look up." He hadn't spoken. The voice came again. Closer this time. "I said, don't look up." His hands were shaking. Every instinct told him to run. But there was nowhere to go. He slowly raised the flashlight toward the ceiling. The roof was empty. The footsteps had stopped. He let out a relieved breath. Then, a long, bony hand slowly wrapped around the edge of the roof. Another hand appeared. Then a pale face lowered into view upside down. Its eyes were completely black. Its smile stretched far beyond what any human mouth should. It wasn't crying anymore. It was smiling directly at him. The camera jolted as he stumbled backward. When he pointed the flashlight up again, the creature was gone. Only deep scratch marks remained in the wood. Morning couldn't come fast enough. As the first sunlight reached the forest, every strange sound vanished. The birds began singing again. The air felt normal. He climbed down, never looking back. After walking for almost an hour, he finally reached what he thought was the trail. Then he noticed something nailed to a tree. A piece of old wood. Carved into it were 7 words. "She only cries until someone looks." He turned around. There was no treehouse, no clearing, nothing, just endless forest. As he backed away, he heard it one last time. A woman, crying. This time, right behind him. The recovered camera was found weeks later, still recording. The man was never seen again.